Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of the Manifestation podcast. My name is Selin Bilgin, and I am interviewing Peggy McColl, and I am thrilled. I have known Peggy for quite a few years now. I would see her speaking on stage at Bob Proctor's seminars and leading streaming club calls, and she has a wealth of information, and I get to interview her today. So we're going to have some fun. I'm going to ask questions. And we're so excited for this episode. So Peggy, welcome to this edition of Interviewing You.
Yeah, I love this. This is such a good idea, Selin. When you came up with this idea, I thought, what a brilliant idea. And I want everyone listening to know that Selin is on the dynamic Destinies team, and we're so blessed to have her. And she's always thinking about, and this is actually a lesson for everyone, she's always thinking about greater ways to serve. So that's really why we created this. That's the spirit of it. And I want you to think about ways that you can serve people as well. But Selin, take it away.
Love it. Okay, so Peggy, when you go to the bank, you're out getting your hair done, your nails done. When people ask you what you do, what do you tell them?
I love that you're even asking that question. And I actually enjoy the question too. And I've tried different answers on for size. For example, it depends on how much time we're going to have together. So if I get on an airplane and I know I'm going to be sitting beside this person for 4 hours and they say to me, what do you do? There's probably a greater chance to expand on what I actually do. But if I'm maybe in a lineup somewhere and we're just boarding a plane, or I'm at the dentist's office and I'm sitting in reception, I typically use a very quick answer. And that is, I'm an author. That's usually what I say, is I'm an author. But I'll also say I'm an author and I help people write their books, earn money as an author. And I also help people, entrepreneurs, build and grow their businesses, either online, offline, or both of those things. So if I'm getting into more of a detailed explanation, I will talk a little bit more about the manifesting side of things and more of the specific side of things, and maybe more of the type of clients that I'm working with as well. But my short one-word answer is author.
I love it. And it's beautiful because you have been in business for over 25 years, and you started, at first coaching other companies and people on goal setting. And then you wrote your best-selling book. You've been teaching people like Bob Proctor and Dean Graziosi and Gay Hendricks to launch their products as well. Did you know that this is the track you wanted to get started on, or how did you get started?
Yeah, that's a great question too, because I'm all about goals, right? And that's how my business got started. And in 1994, when I incorporated the company, I started running these I called them goal keeping seminars, because it's more about setting the goal and achieving the goal, right? So it was kind of like a goal achieving, goal keeping. And I called my seminar Shape Your Destiny. And again, trying on different things. And I think it's important as an entrepreneur to be really, really flexible. So my career, yes, I wrote a business plan when I incorporated my company. And the reason why I wrote a business plan is because I was told that's what people do, right? And I've probably looked at it, at some point over the last 25 years, just for some humor, perhaps. But what I had intended for the business originally, it morphed. And I find that it's really important to have that flexibility so that you can morph your business based on a number of elements. And what are those elements? It's things like, what are you personally loving? What do you bring to the marketplace that's of value? What is it that people really want and need? And then will people pay for it? And so when I started the company, I was thinking, I love goals. I love achieving goals. I'm going to help people achieve goals. So that's what I started with. And then I started getting requests from people. Some of the participants that would come into my seminar also had a job at, a government department or at the bank. And they'd say, hey, would you be willing to come into our office and maybe do a presentation skills technique? Because I've been a teacher for many, many years. I used to teach night school at college. And that's actually another funny story. And this is probably one of those things that I know you're going to ask me a question. What is something that people don't know about me? That's one of them. I used to teach at 2 colleges, night school, and I never went to college. So that's kind of like a funny story. But anyways, I find that when you're in business and, you're set up your business, you're doing what you love, if you're not flexible and really paying attention to what's going on out there, you could be left behind, because our world is, goes through challenging times. There's like all kinds of rapid changes, technology. If you're not really keeping your hand on the pulse, and that's what I call it, keep your hand on the pulse in the marketplace out there, you're going to struggle. And you may have times in your career where things aren't flying or aren't, flying off the shelves or whatever. You'll need to adjust at that point. So I found I was constantly, keeping aware. Like I used to say I had antennas on the top of my head, like really do what's going on out there in the world, and really paying attention. And then I would adjust accordingly. So when I first became an author, I didn't know anything about being an author in that world and what's required. And I had an ignorant assumption. That's not a criticism. It's just the truth. Ignorance meaning I wasn't aware that as an author, when you complete that book and it's out there in the world, that 5% of your job is done, that you really need to learn and apply effective marketing techniques. So that's what I started to do. So when I started getting results and books were selling and people were hungry, they're like, well, what else do you have? And could you take me by the hand? And could you walk me through this? And I thought, opportunity. So then I create courses, and I started doing online courses, and I started doing private coaching. And then people were coming along, like Robin Sharma was one of my first clients, who had written the book and had made his book a big hit. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari released a second book, and it wasn't selling that well. And so he wanted that to get a big boost, online, like let's get some sales going of this book that he wrote called The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO. So I actually ran a campaign for him, got his book up to the top of the charts. And then, all these authors, they all talk to each other. Next thing you know, Marianne Williamson's calling me and Greg Braden and, all these big name authors. And I started helping them and working with them because they didn't understand that. And then I've always had a love for manifesting, always. It's something that I fell in love with 41 years ago when I started studying with Bob Proctor in January of 1979. So even though my business has sort of evolved and gone through these changes, at the fundamental basic level, the foundation of everything I do is about manifesting. It's about manifesting the results that you want in your life, whether it is as an entrepreneur to grow a business, whether it is as someone who just wants to create an online presence and grow it and have that be successful, whether it's someone who simply wants to manifest a dream home, because I teach people how to do that as well. So, but at the end of the day, if we really look at everything that I've done in my career, in my business, has all been around manifesting. So either it's manifesting a dream home, manifesting more money, manifesting healthy business, manifest a growing business, manifest a bestseller, manifest multiple, sources of income, whatever it is, it really is all about manifesting.
And so someone who's listening, they're like, okay, well, we all have that gap between where we are and where we want to go. What would you recommend to someone who wants to start to manifest those things that you mentioned?
Yeah, well, as you asked the question, a song comes in my mind, a song that has lyrics that says, I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, right? And so I think we got to move it, move it. We got to move our butts, and I had a radio show number of years ago through Hay House, and I had many different guests on my radio show. I had Bob Proctor on, and Neil Donald Walsh, and Gay Hendricks, and Greg Braden. I mean, they became my friends as well. And so one day I had John Asraf on my radio show, and John I've known for many, many years. He lived in Canada at one point before he moved down to San Diego, a phenomenal student of Bob Proctor and a great leader out there in the world as well. And so John, being a friend, he was on my radio show as well. And we're talking about the laws of universe, like the law of compensation, the law of polarity, the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, the law of vibration, like all these laws. And I said to John, I said, out of all the laws, because I know he understands them deeply, he studies them, he teaches them. I said, out of all these laws, do you have a favorite? And he thought about it for a minute, and he goes, oh yeah, that's easy. It's the law of Goya. And he said that, and I'm sitting there thinking, the law of Goya, the law of Goya. Like I'm scanning my brain cells, right? Going, what is the law of Goya? And then this thought comes into my mind. Should I open my mouth and have everyone think that like I'm stupid, or should I just remain quiet and have them, just think nothing? And so I thought, well, if I don't know what the law of Goya is, I suspect that there's a lot of people that are listening that they have no idea what it is. So I said to John, I apologize, but I have no idea what the law of Goya is. I've studied them all myself. Never heard of that one. Do you mind? And he said, yeah, sure. He says, well, all of these laws are brilliant and they're great and they give us that great understanding, but unless you do something with it, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to
Mhm.
happen. Nothing will manifest. And I said, well, what is the law of Goya? And he said, it's the law of get off your ass.
I love it.
Isn't that great? So I often will teach my clients about the law of Goya. So that's the difference between knowing and experiencing. You got to move your ass, right? You got to move into action. And sometimes people don't know exactly, well, what do I do? What do I do? You don't have to know how. And that's a very, very important message as well. But what you do have to take action on is making some decisions on how would you love to be living your life? How would you
Mm-hmm.
love to be living your life now, whether you're in challenging times or not in challenging? How would you love to be living your life? Do you want to be living in a beautiful home? Do you want to have all kinds of money in the bank? Do you want to help people? Do you want to contribute to certain charities? Do you want to become a New York Times bestselling author? Do you want to whatever? Like, what is it? What would you really love to be experiencing in your life? That's part of the doingness, right? That's part of the action. So you define what that is. And that's what we teach in the Power Life script. You define exactly what that is, what it feels like to be living like that. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And then you live it every single day by listening to your script once you record it, listening to it over and over again until it becomes so vividly real that that's just the way you are. I mean, that's just what you believe, what you know to be true. This is how you're living your life right now. Like nothing's going to knock you off track.
And that's the beautiful thing with the Power Life script. You end up living in this world, and so you naturally know what actions to take next.
Exactly.
You're living
Exactly.
from that place. And when we get stuck or we want more guidance, I know you do have multiple programs as well for very specific action steps for the manifestation of a home, for the New York Times bestseller list. So it is just tapping into that frequency, and that's what the Power Life script does. You
Right.
know? And so, and like you said, the law of Goya, you can listen and you can do all the studying, but it does come down to taking action.
Right.
So we talk, I think it's easy to see someone like yourself. You have accomplished so many things, Peggy. What, like we hear of overnight success, and those of us who are taking action know that there's no such thing as that. What's something that you want people to know about overnight success and hard work and things like that?
Yeah, that's such an important idea and concept as well, is that there's going to be a period of time, and that really is the law of gestation, that there's going to be a period of time before all things will manifest in a physical form. But the best thing that you can do is to connect to your outcomes, meaning feel that they're already here right now. So if you would love to be a multimillionaire, as an example, you got to feel as if you're there now. And then once you're really, genuinely feeling it, when you're in that vibrational state, you are attracting it at a high
Mm-hmm.
level. And so what I tell people who want results fast or faster, like we can't force, like I can't plant a tomato seed in my garden and go out there and go, come on, let's go. What the hell are you waiting for? Like, let's go, come on. I want a tomato and I want it now. It doesn't work that way, right? Because there's a natural progression that's going to occur before the tomato comes out of the ground and the shoot, and then it develops into a tomato. We've got to understand that. There's a wonderful quote, and I believe it's by Ralph Waldo Trine, that goes like this: I wait as the one who understands. Like when you understand the laws and you really know that they work and it will work, then it will, all your goals will manifest into form. And not a maybe, not possibly, not just for Selin and not the next guy. It's for everyone. Everyone has that same opportunity. So if you really want to get faster results, intensify your emotional state. Like really ensure that daily you're really connecting to it and feeling it. And not for 20 minutes, 3 times a day, or not for 5 minutes while you close your eyes and you visualize, all day long. So you go about your day, you wake up in the morning and you don't wake up anxious and choking, going, how am I going to pay my bills today? You wake up playing a game. And it's a game, and just do it one day at a time. And this is why the Power Life script is so powerful, because it is going to reprogram your mind. So you wake up in the morning and you're just like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm a multimillionaire. I'm so happy and grateful to do work that I really love, that I'm making a positive contribution in this world. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm surrounded by my beautiful family, and whatever it is, you just start, like, you wake up and you start living like that, and you go through your entire day. And as you're drifting off into sleep, you're just like, I'm so happy and grateful that my dream is fulfilled and I'm feeling it now. You do that and you will ramp up the time. You will manifest faster for sure, but there's still a period of time. And I hear this all the time. And I know you do too, Selin, like people like, I'm doing all the work, I'm doing all the manifestation stuff that you're teaching, but it's not working, right? And they're like banging their fists on the desk or whatever. The moment you do that, you just contaminated everything that you were working on, right? You got to know it works. Now, this does definitely involve believing in the unseen. It is like a belief. That's the hardest part, I think. Also, we're so habitual. We're such habitual creatures. And Wallace D. Wattles talks about it in Science of Getting Rich. Wallace D. Wattles says the following. He says, this is the hardest work in the world. And it's the hardest work in the world because we're programmed a certain way. We are habitual beings. So if we've been thinking a certain way and we've been living a certain way and our results have been a certain way, we got to change all of that. And that's a challenge. Now, the good news is once you change it, like you become so rock solid, like I know I'm so strong emotionally because for so many years, I've been listening to my Power Life script and I've conditioned myself. I mean, today, I've been listening to my Power Life script already several times. I've been reading. I've read a chapter from The Power of Awareness. I was reading from another book. I do my gratitude journal. I do my affirmations. I'm doing this stuff every day. Do not miss. Now, would I stop feeding myself food or drinking water? No. Heck no. If I did, I'd die. It's the same thing with your dreams. You got to feed them and feed them and feed them and nourish them and nurture them every single day. And then they flourish, right? That's the way it works.
Yes, I love that. So that actually brings up so many other questions in my mind. And I think just to add on to what you're saying is reflecting the law of Goya. I think that's when we can have faith because we're doing the work in our mind and we're doing work externally. And there's this proverb that states it beautifully. It says, pray, but move your feet while you do it,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So we talk a lot about how a person can change their life, and you've touched on it several times through your daily habits. What are some of your daily habits, and how can someone start to change their life as well?
Perfect question. You also remind me of another proverb, which is faith without works is dead.
Exactly.
Faith without works is dead. So my daily habits are really simple. And I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is I grab my gratitude journal. So I'm in my feet don't touch the ground unless I have to go pee-pee real fast. But anyways, for the most part, it's like the feet aren't touching the ground until I do my gratitude. Another thing that I do every morning is I have my investment report, my bank accounts for my business and personal, and I look at them every day with the numbers in them that reflect what my ideal life includes. I also do affirmations as well. So there's like a 3-part process that I do before the feet hit the ground. And that is the gratitude, the affirmations, and the visual of really connecting to these financials in my life. And I always do affirmations as soon as I get out of the shower. I have a shower every day and I do the same shower affirmations. I used to have them on my mirror, but they're not anymore because they're memorized. And so like I just don't forget. So I do those and I do them in the mirror. So I get out of the shower and I'll start doing affirmations. I go to the mirror and I do more affirmations. I also listen to my Power Life script and I keep my earbuds, charged all the time. They're always charged. I plug in my earbuds and I'll start listening as soon as humanly possible in the day as well. And I listen to my Power Life script 7 times a day minimum, sometimes more. And it's about 30 minutes long. And it's easy to do. It's easier to do than you think. Like if I'm making breakfast or I'm making coffee or I'm walking the dogs or I'm doing grocery shopping or I'm just sitting outside enjoying the beautiful afternoon, I'm listening. It's a habit now. So those are the things. I also read every day. So every day I'm reading and I keep books all around me. I've also been reading Feeling is the Secret every single day, and I've been doing that now for months. It takes about 25 minutes to read. Now, I recorded it as well, which we made available for everyone on the Manifestation Toolbox, where if you don't want to read it, you can listen and you'll still, well, maybe as good of an effect, but I find reading it seems to be more impactful. And so those are the things that I do. I also think about every day, how will I serve? I'm always focused on how will I serve? How will I serve? How will I serve today? And I get out there and do it. I mean, there are days, my husband's retired, right? He's been retired for about 12 years. And I'm sure there's days that he would like me to maybe go on the golf course with him or whatever. And sometimes I do. It's rare, but sometimes I do. But I'm really focused on my business, and I love what I do so much. And I'm always thinking about serving and being out there in the world. So I find something every day that either I can do or deliver that's going to bring something of value in the world. Like today I recorded an audio recording that we're going to be using. I recorded 3 additional videos. One is for like next Friday. I mean, I am staying on top of things and preparing and organizing, and it's just something I'm always thinking about. So those are really my daily activities. I do the visualization while I'm listening to my Power Life script, and I'm anchoring the feeling while I'm listening to my Power Life script. And when I'm not, I could walk down the hallway and feeling the fulfillment of my desires as well.
I love that. And it's funny because I've had the thought before, well, how come people like, let's say Oprah or Michael Jordan, I'm like, they don't, necessarily maybe have a practice that's as intense. And I think about it, and no, there is not a single person who's not programming their mind in their own way. And most of us did not grow up in an environment that was completely conducive to our goals. And most people we know don't even go after their goals and dreams, or they quit. And so this is why it is so important to have that daily practice. And life does, like, our external world begins to change when you do the things that you're talking about.
So true. Absolutely true. And, I think that people just don't give it enough weight or understand the significance of what it would do for them in their life. Yeah. And I'm sure I didn't either. I mean, people ask me.
I didn't. Yeah. Yeah.
The other day I was asked, like, how long after you started studying Bob Proctor in January 1979 before you started to have some real shifts in your life? And I had to think about it. And I know I had positive change for sure. I mean, emotionally, I was starting to feel better. But anything really significant, like big goals, was probably not for about 15 years later. And why was that? Well, I was doing the work and patting myself on the back for being such a great student, but how effectively was I doing it? I think once I discovered this whole Power Life script idea, that's when everything changed.
It's so, sorry, go ahead.
Because it feeds me every day. It feeds my spirit. It feeds my consciousness. It feeds my emotions. It feeds my manifestations.
Yes, absolutely. So that being said, you're keeping yourself in a high vibration. What happens when how do you deal with disappointment, or even like emotions, anger, fear, jealousy, everything like that?
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm a human being having a human experience, and I have emotions too. It is rare that I get disappointed, even though you said the word disappointment. I'd have to think, what would be disappointing? Maybe that I can't have my grandson as often as I would like, because he's just the bright light in my life. I love that little guy so much. But how do I deal with it? It's like I get over it. I get over it fast, like real fast. And I find that I wrote a book about it. I developed switching techniques to switch away from anything upsetting over to positive. And I called it Your Destiny Switch. It's a book. It's my biggest book. It's in 37 languages and sold in 100 countries in the world. And so that's what I do. I'll switch over. I'll find a better feeling state. So if something happens, and I've had things happen in my life that were really disappointing or didn't happen as I wanted, and maybe I got sucked into that sad feeling or that fear feeling or whatever, I just don't stay there, right? Go there, just don't stay there. And so that's really my technique.
And so what would you say to someone who also doesn't want to stay there? Do you, again, listen to your Power Life script? Are you switching your focus? What do you do exactly?
Yeah, well, definitely the Power Life script. That'll switch you right over back thinking about what you want and just impressing it upon your subconscious mind. I also love this question, this 4-word question. What would you love? What would you love? What would you love? So if I find myself thinking about what I don't want, or something didn't happen the way I wanted, then I just say, thank you. What would you love? And that puts me right back in alignment, because I follow up that answer with moving into the feeling states of feeling what I would love as if it's here right now.
So what a lot of viewers will probably be listening through a podcast, and what they can't see right now is what I'm seeing. You always have physical cues. You have grateful, I can see in your background. Your success is absolutely guaranteed. You had, when you just pointed out, what would you love? You have that in a physical form. What other kinds of symbols do you have in your house to represent your desires, your goals, reflect wealth? What else do you do for yourself?
Ooh, you're good. I like that. Okay, so I have a check right here. I don't show people this stuff. I have a check there I wrote to myself. And I have a photo of me standing on the beach in Jamaica in a bikini. So
Love it.
when I was at a lighter weight, but I see myself there already. I have over here a forecast. You can't see it because I put my camera a certain way, but I have a forecast of the revenue for our business this year, which I actually modified this morning. And so that's there. I have a sign right beside my bed that says, I demand my income to be a certain amount of money. And that whole demand idea, I actually have a book that we will be releasing at some point, and called The Demand Principle, is really based on Napoleon Hill, who said, no more effort is required to aim high at life, to demand prosperity and abundance, than it is to accept misery and poverty. And demand is not an arrogant or an egotistical way. What I mean by that is when you demand something, you just expect it to happen. And it doesn't come with bad emotion. It's just a level of certainty that equals knowing. And so I have that sign right beside my bed. I also have this little triangle thing that I have here that has 3 engravings on it. And one says, what would you love? The other one says, now that your dream is fulfilled, how do you feel? And the third one says, your success is absolutely guaranteed. And as you mentioned, I have a sign over there that says your success is absolutely guaranteed as well. So I keep these reminders. I got another one over there that says, there is always, always, always something to be grateful for. And I have another one that my friend Brian Proctor gave me that says, perfect in every way. I really like, I think about him. So I keep reminders. And when I was early into this study, and I would read something out of like Dr. Joseph Murphy or Florence Scovel Shinn or Catherine Ponder or one of those guys, Neil Donald Walsh, I would actually take their statements and I put them on little cards, and I put them all over my house. They were on my mirror. They were beside where the kitchen, where I do the dishes. They were, everywhere beside the bed, in the family room. They're little reminder cards. And I used to put them up there to remind myself of things. Or if I saw something that I like Marianne Williamson has that poem that says, something about.
Yes, about our light and who we're afraid of our greatest light in a way. Is that the one that you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And I had it for years on the wall in my office. And I remember in Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, she had a kind of like a statement or affirmation. And I copied that out. I printed it. I read it every single day. So, you just put things around you that are going to cause you to feel good and cause you to remember the incredible power that's within you.
I love that. It's funny because I'm looking up and I have on my whiteboard saying, how can I deliver beyond what is expected of me? You become what you focus on. And I have them around me too. And it's so true because it immediately reminds you, whether you are concentrating on it or it's just like as a symbol in the back. So
I would change that question, by the way, to how will I?
Oh, I love that. I'm going to write that down after our interview. I love that. Thank you for that shift. And actually, that's so powerful. I think we're going to have to make another part 2 of this because we talk about language quite a bit. And I just want to be able to wrap up with something like that. So you actually your success is absolutely guaranteed. Can you talk to us about that and your mindset around that?
For sure. And you reminded me of language, and maybe that's what we'll talk about in part 2, because I was reviewing one of our high-end clients' Power Life script this week, and they said something like they are happy and grateful that they're able to fly in a private jet. And I said, well, we're all able to, like you're able to, I'm able to, but are you doing it? right?
Mm.
Little distinctions. And I notice it all the time with people. Or they'll put something in, like I read another one. This is a different one that I read this week, where she said something like, my life is so incredible, I just feel like pinching myself. And well, why would you pinch yourself, right? You don't believe it? And I understand what she's saying, and that maybe, she could probably leave that one in and it'd be okay. But what that said to me is she may have some doubt.
100%.
You want to get rid of that doubt. So when I heard those words, your success is absolutely guaranteed, it was when I was watching a podcast of Joel Osteen. And I heard him say that. And I thought, oh, I liked how I felt knowing my success is absolutely guaranteed. And so I not only owned it and, created that sign that I have here on my desk, but I added it to my Power Life script. And I added additional things like you being a multimillionaire is absolutely guaranteed. You owning your dream home is absolutely guaranteed. You driving in your Ferrari, I don't have that one, but anyways, that's the idea, right? Is absolutely guaranteed. You running a multi-million-dollar successful business, serving millions of people in the world is absolutely guaranteed. You and your happy marriage with your wonderful husband is absolutely guaranteed. You being the mom of 2 kids that are healthy and happy and prospering in this world is absolutely guaranteed. Whatever it is you want, just add is absolutely guaranteed. It just creates a better feeling state.
Oh, it does. You're saying it, and I feel my heart like having these butterfly sensations, because it's so important to tune into that and how we speak to ourselves, and I think that's brilliant. So thank you for sharing that. So Peggy, before we hop off, I would love to know, what are 3 things you are grateful for, and where can people find out more about you?
Oh, all right, great. Well, number one, I'm grateful for you. That is definitely something I'm grateful for. I wrote about it in my journal this morning. And so that is an absolute claims, top spot right there right now. And the fact that you said what you said earlier about how will I serve people or exceed expectations is beautiful as well. That really speaks to, because I'm so passionate about the work that I do in this world. I take it as my responsibility. It's really what I believe I'm destined to do. And it's a responsibility. My parents really taught me about responsibility. It was definitely one of the most highest values that they taught me. And so I take that very seriously. So I'm grateful that I was blessed to find my place in the world, to really know what my purpose is, and to be doing it and living it, and, doing work that I love so much, that does make an impact in the world. And I'm grateful for my family. I'm so blessed to have, I often will say I won the lottery of life when I married my husband, Denny. He's just such a gift in my life. He's a wonderful human being. I really love him. And I don't think a lot of people really feel that way about their spouses, that if they've been together a long time. We've been together only 15 years. We'll be together, to eternity. I just know it. We're just so in love with each other. And then, of course, my son, Michelle, who is the greatest gift in my entire life ever. And I just take that responsibility of being a mom so seriously as well. That's the greatest gift I was ever given, as being a mom. And he blessed me with my grandson, James, who is, I always tell James, I whisper to him, you're the best part of my life. You're the best part. I know, Grandma. That's so cute. I mean, he knows he's loved so much, not just me, but his other grandparents and his mom and dad and cousins. And he's just such a loving little being. I have so much to be grateful for, but those are the 3 things that just come immediate to the top of my mind. And how people can find out more about me, best place is PeggyMcColl.com, PEGGYMCCOLL.com. You can go there. You can, have access to all of our free stuff, the videos that we send out, our manifestation toolbox, more episodes of the podcast. You can get on our email list so you can find out all the exciting events that we're doing. And we're constantly serving the world in wonderful ways and positive ways. So look forward to serving people even more.
I love it. I got emotional when you're talking about your gratitude list. I love it. And we will have all the links that Peggy has mentioned in the description, so you can stay tuned and follow us for the next Manifestation podcast. Thank you so much, Peggy. Thank you, listeners, and we hope to see you again. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.